Hi Whiz Kids, happy Sunday and welcome back to our series Dive In. This is part 2 as always, so if you go to the description down below and click on that link and hit pause and watch that first if you haven't already, and if you have already watched it, how great was that video? And you will know that this week we were going to be once again talking about the story of Peter denying Jesus. So let's get on with it. So like I just said, our story is Peter denying Jesus, which Daniel talked about last week, and we're going to have a bit more of a discussion about it. So the story comes from Luke 22 verse 54 to 62 in the Bible, and we're going to have a bit of a recap with it. Now I know you're probably thinking, Sophie, I know this story, and you're absolutely right, you should know it because you talked about it last week and you've just watched the video again. So I've got a challenge for you, bit different this week. Instead of you just listening to me tell you the story, I want you to go and get a piece of paper and a pen, and while I tell the story, I want to challenge you to see if you can write down the story quicker than I can say it. So you up for it? Yeah? Great. Pause this video, go and get your piece of paper, come back here, and we shall start this race. So are we ready? Pens at the ready. I hope you haven't started yet because that's called cheating. So you ready? On your marks, get set, go. Okay, so our story this week is all about Peter denying Jesus, and this happens just after Jesus is arrested by the people that don't believe that he is the Son of God. So Peter and all the other disciples are very sad, and they're also very scared that they're going to get in trouble too. And now Peter is just on his way and he's sat down with a bunch of people when a servant girl says to him, "This man was with him," that him being Jesus, and Peter denies it and says, "Woman, I don't know him." A little later, someone else saw him and said, "You are also one of them." And Peter replied, "Man, I am not." About an hour later, another asserted, "Certainly this fellow was with him. He is a Galilean." And Peter replied, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." Just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. And as the rooster crowed, Peter remembered the word that Jesus had given him that same day, saying, "Before the rooster crows today, you will disown me 3 times. And then Peter went outside and he wept and wept and wept. End of story. Did you write it all down before I told you? I hope you didn't, because then I'm a winner and you're not. No, but good job, guys. I'm sure that you wrote really, really quick and know the story. And if you don't, that's fine. Just rewind this bit and just listen to what I say instead, and that's all fine too. So let's have a little chat about this story, shall we? At the end of that story, Peter was so sad that he had denied Jesus when he was told he was going to do it, but he didn't believe what Jesus had said. And he was so upset that he'd actually done this bad thing and had denied Jesus. And another way to say it, because denied is a bit of a funny, complicated word, is that he lied that he knew Jesus, and he pretended he didn't because he was scared for his own life. Now, obviously it's bad to lie. Daniel discussed this last week. It's very bad to do that. But what is really strange in this story is that Jesus knew that Peter was going to lie before it happened, which means he knew that Peter was going to mess up, but still wanted Peter to be a disciple of his, even though he knew he was going to mess up, because none of us are perfect except Jesus, which is why he had to die for us. So just always remember that even if you do mess up and you lie, or pretend that you don't know Jesus, or you don't go to church to be cool in the playground, it's all right if you do that, because if you just say sorry, then it's all okay. God's still going to use you in your life, and that's amazing, because I'm telling you now, everybody has denied Jesus before or lied before about having a faith, and that's okay because Jesus still loves us and is still going to use us. Before we go into our discussion questions, let's just have a little think. So we've been learning about Peter, haven't we, in this series that we're already over halfway through on, which is just mental how quick this series is going. But I think we've also been learning a lot about Jesus as well in this. So I've learned in this so far, even I've learned something, that Peter is just like me and you. He messes up. He loves Jesus, but he still makes mistakes, but it's okay because Jesus is there. And all this series is showing us that even if we mess up, we can still be amazing men, women, children of God, which is just crazy to me. And I think it might be crazy to you, because that just blows my mind that we can mess up, we can lie, we can even deny Jesus and he will still use us. We've learned lots of stuff about Peter. He got to walk on water, all the miracles, and we're going to be learning even more about him in the next coming weeks as well. But we'll also learn about his mistakes and how Jesus forgives us in them things. So just always remember that, whiz kids, that no matter what you do, God's going to be there with you and use you. So yeah, let's get on to our discussion question. So question 1 is a similar question to what we have done in the past, but I just want you to have another think about it. So the first question, how can we get to know more about who Jesus is? So we've done this a few times. We did it on Zoom if you were there last week. What do we think? So yes, we can get to know him by praying to him and reading our Bible. That's always a great way to do it. Just like reading these stories about Peter, that is a great way to know more about him. One way that I would say, which one of our wonderful whiz kids said on our Zoom call, is that we can talk to people about their testimonies, which is such a great way to learn about people's experiences, because sometimes the Bible can maybe be a bit boring, and also none of us are going to be in boats in a storm and then walk on water. So a great way to do it is to maybe ask a whiz kids leader or your mum and dad if they have any stories of how Jesus has helped them and how he gets you through different situations. And that way you can learn what Jesus is like. So yeah, that was a great answer that we had on the Zoom call. So I thought I would say it here again. Well, let's move on to question 2 and I'll stop talking. So question 2, why is knowing more about Jesus important? And how does it affect our decisions and the way we treat others? And question 3, how does knowing more about Jesus help us follow him? Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? We want to follow him. So have a think and write down your answers. Pause this video if you need some more time to write, that's absolutely fine. But that is all from me. I hope you have a great week coming up at school. And I hope school's been great since you've been back. And I shall see you all so very, very soon. Bye.